Imagine your feet carrying you across frozen fields in Belgium, through ankle-deep mud in the Ardennes, or over scorching North African sand dunes with 60 pounds strapped to your back. For the soldiers of World War II, their boots weren't just footwear. They were the difference between completing a mission and becoming a casualty. While modern manufacturers promise revolutionary comfort with synthetic materials and engineered support systems, there's a forgotten technique from the 1940s that still outperforms today's most expensive tactical boots. This isn't marketing hype or technological innovation. This is Fieldcraft wisdom earned through millions of miles of wartime marching, and it's called tension zoning. When young men from farms, factories and cities first received their military-issue boots, they faced an immediate problem that would plague them more consistently than enemy fire blisters. These weren't minor irritations, they were debilitating injuries that could sideline a soldier as effectively as shrapnel. In field hospitals across every theatre of war, medics treated thousands of cases of severe foot trauma, from bleeding blisters to trench foot. The standard issue boots, while sturdy, were manufactured for durability rather than comfort, and the military's one-size-fits-most approach meant that soldiers were essentially breaking in stiff leather torture devices while simultaneously learning to survive combat. Out of this suffering emerged an ingenious solution that spread through the ranks, not through official training manuals, but through the organic wisdom sharing that happens when survival depends on learning from those who have been there longer. Veterans would sit with replacements during rare moments of respite, demonstrating how to lace boots in a way that seemed almost counterintuitive to everything they'd been taught about proper footwear support. The technique divides the boot into 3 distinct zones, each serving a specific biomechanical purpose that soldiers understood instinctively even if they couldn't articulate the physics behind it. At the toe box, laces remain loose enough to allow your toes to splay naturally with each step, a critical factor when you're moving across uneven terrain where your foot needs to grip and adjust constantly. This looseness prevents the forward sliding impact that happens on downhill movements, the kind that turns toenails black and eventually causes them to fall off after weeks of marching. The midfoot zone becomes the anchor point, where laces tighten with deliberate pressure between roughly the 1st and 3rd eyelets. This creates a cradle that locks your arch in place, preventing the lateral sliding and twisting motion that generates friction blisters along the sides of your feet. When a soldier tightened this section properly, their foot became one with the boot's sole, allowing efficient energy transfer while preventing that characteristic rubbing sensation that starts as warmth and ends as raw, weeping wounds. Most surprisingly to modern wearers, the ankle section remained relatively loose, allowing natural flexion that modern boots try to eliminate through rigid construction. Soldiers discovered that ankle mobility mattered more than ankle support when navigating bomb craters, scaling obstacles, and moving through unpredictable battlefield terrain. This looseness also prevented the pressure points at the top of the boot collar that can cut into Achilles tendons and create painful inflammation during extended wear. This forgotten technique carries profound relevance for anyone who depends on their feet, hunters spending days in the backcountry, wildland firefighters working 18-hour shifts, or preppers building resilience for uncertain futures. The method costs nothing, requires no special equipment, and transforms mediocre boots into exceptional ones. More importantly, it represents a philosophy of adaptation and observation that defined the greatest generation's approach to survival, Pay attention to what actually works rather than what you're told should work. The soldiers who developed tension zoning didn't have biomechanics laboratories or gait analysis technology. They had mud, blood, and the absolute necessity of keeping their feet functional because their lives and their brothers' lives depended on it. That crucible of necessity produced wisdom that remains as valid today as it was 8 decades ago. A reminder that sometimes the most advanced technology is simply understanding how to work with human physiology rather than against it. When you tie your boots using this method before your next expedition into the wilderness, you're not just preventing blisters. You're connecting with a lineage of hard-won knowledge passed down through generations of those who depended on their feet for survival. In a world increasingly dominated by disposable gear and marketing promises, there's something profoundly satisfying about employing a technique that stood the test of time, combat, and countless miles of the hardest use imaginable. If this glimpse into forgotten fieldcraft has sparked your curiosity about the ingenuity born from necessity, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles. We're committed to uncovering the practical wisdom that kept soldiers, explorers, and survivors alive when equipment failed and conditions turned desperate. Share this video with anyone who values self-reliance, historical knowledge, and the timeless skills that connect us to those who walked difficult paths before us. The best gear isn't always the newest. Sometimes it's the oldest wisdom, waiting to be rediscovered.